Thank the gentlelady. Gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Garrett's recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to you, members of the panel, for your time and your insight. I would commend as well Dr. Smith for her comments as it relates to the Mississippi plan, and state as an aside that I spent 5 years in the Virginia State House defending Mississippi, who was oftentimes used as an example for what we didn't want to do, and it made me so angry as somebody who represents a largely rural constituency that people would look down their noses at people who weren't like them. This is America, where a mesh of any number of different types of individuals. But I think what we need to focus on here, Mr. Chairman and members of the panel, is that every child reacts differently to different inputs. I would point out and commend Dr. Smith for the Mississippi model, which ties the evaluation of the program to the results of the individual child. And I pause for dramatic effect because I think we all too often sort of bear out the road to hell is paved with good intentions by virtue of saying we're going to throw money at this and we mean well, and then not looking at the results for the individual child. Because what we should be trying to do here today, and every panelist who I've been present for, which is 3 of the 4, and I apologize to Ms. Stebbins, has talked about that being the end goal, to empower people to raise children who are productive by virtue of allowing those people to be productive without being gone working 3, 4 jobs at a time. So that everybody can have that fundamental entitlement, and I use that intentionally, of American citizenship, which is an opportunity. Because we don't know where the next President Obama or the next President Trump or whomever comes from. And in this country, by gosh, they can come from a single-parent household, as we've seen multiple times, wherein there are challenges to be overcome. So let me ask about this. I too am appreciative of what Milwaukee Tools is doing in Mississippi, but I'd open it up to the panel. Is there a way that you all could see that is within the purview of the responsibility of the federal government? And I differentiate because I appreciate the federalist concept that there are some things appropriate at the local level, some things appropriate at the state level, and some things appropriate at the federal level. Like, I love national defense, but Virginia doesn't need an aircraft carrier. We need 5 of them at Norfolk, but not our own. Is there a way to incentivize private companies to provide on-site health care via tax policy, et cetera? Is that something you all have considered as a means to get some buy-in from these employers to support their employees who want to work, to incentivize that on-site health care that's so commendable that enables people to A, work, but B, also to be around their kids a little bit more? If you could I have sent 2 children off to daycare. I hated it. It was torturous. So I just open it up just from my left to your right, or vice versa, Ms. Stebbins. Can you think of ideas that would allow the federal government to incentivize on-site care by private entities?
Can I just clarify, you're talking through the Child Care and Development Block Grant, or outside? Yeah,
but look, as is want to do on this committee and many others, I've kind of stepped a little bit beyond where we are because I hate leaving rooms where we talk about stuff and don't come up with ideas. So what I want to do is sort of hash some policy out while I got 4 subject matter experts in front of me, so that maybe we can come forward with something.
So I was just going to clarify, the Block Grant does allow states to do that. You can, in fact, provide tax credits or other ways to subsidize and incentivize businesses to do it. At what point states were even using some of the funding that private companies were using to support childcare to draw down some of their federal childcare money. So that is being done. It is something that we're thinking about. I think the bigger point here is not everybody works for an employer who can do that, and so we have to think beyond that employer-based thing. But yes,
well, tragically, every time we try to help everybody at once, we usually have the opposite result, right? So if you can help groups of people, then you're going to help all people ultimately, I hope. Ben, thank you. Ms. Neelan, if I'm pronouncing that right.
We have a state tax credit, the school readiness tax credit, that has been very effectively used in Louisiana, and I think one of the advantages of it is that it's not limited to large corporations. Small businesses can take advantage of it as well, and the CPAs recommend it to their clients, and small communities are able to, in many cases, get a large amount of money to get centers started, to, for example, provide curricular professional development for their centers. And if the federal government decided to pursue that kind of avenue, I think that could be effective as well.
Mr. Chairman, I understand my time's about to expire. Obviously, at the latitude of the chair, these other ladies can finish, or you can submit in writing responses, but I'm very curious to see what your thoughts are on this.
I'd prefer if you carry this conversation on in writing. I think we'd all enjoy a written response to this.